welcome back to the Man Attraction panel. I'm, of course, your fierce leader, Antia, and today, of course, we uncover, again, how to crack through the code of the male brain and uncover real secrets from real men. And today, of course, is no exception because I have my very dear friend and colleague, PJ, with me here today. Hey, PJ.
Hello, hello, my beautiful friend. How are you? I'm super glad to be here. Super excited to be with all of these amazing women watching and learning and getting ready to implement and prepare to change their life.
Oh, ladies, you don't know what you're in for, but before we even dive in there, let me just tell you a little bit about who this amazing man is. He's a lifelong motivational speaker and an international transformational coach who focuses on results. Despite his disability, which was expected to take his life by 7, he chose to live and live well. PJ truly lives an extraordinary life, sailing, outdoor skydiving, indoor skydiving, trapezing, ziplining, hiking, mountain climbing, snow skiing, water skiing, aquajogging, and the list goes on. He's a former wheelchair athlete, international traveler, amateur watercolorist, founder of 2 nonprofit organizations and 4 disabled sports programs, a published author, 10th degree black belt, martial arts, and women's self-defense instructor and meditation teacher. Additionally, PJ has been inducted into the National Hall of Fame for people with disabilities and was nominated to carry the Olympic torch through Tucson in 2002. So with that, welcome, PJ.
Thank you. Thank you. I really appreciate it. It's a little humbling to hear my own bio sometimes. I'm just like, oh, yeah, I did that. Yeah, I did that. But when you clump it all together, it sounds like so almost overwhelming. But, you know, we're here to live our lives and really drink it in and enjoy it. And if you're not living the way you want to be living, it's time to take a massive shift and change where you are, what you're doing, your mindset, your focus, and your commitments, so that you are living this amazing, beautiful, inspiring life, inspiring to you and inspiring to other people who are watching you. We want other people to see you and go, wow, I don't know what you're doing, but teach me. I want some of what you've got. I want that level of freedom and life and joy and laughter and fun and connection. I want that, because when we all have that, think of how amazing the world would be just because of that alone, because we would be living with that level of authenticity.
Absolutely. We're living through by example, right? And so I know I need to take like 3 breaths. I had a hiccup before the interview to get through to all those accomplishments. But I know you have a very cool story, how you actually connected to love, you know, and why you're so passionate to really teach people about love. Do you want to share that?
Sure. So, I mean, I could give a whole background about my childhood and being disabled, but let me just say a couple of things. I remember when I was about 9 or 10 years old, and I remember sitting on my bed and sitting down to pray. And I wasn't raised in the church or the synagogue or the mosque or the temple. I just, you know, was just a normal Midwestern boy. And at 9 or 10, I sat down on my bed to pray. And I remember saying, God, give me their pain. And I was talking about every human being on the face of the planet. I was 9 or 10. Again, I wasn't raised in the church or anything like this. And I remember crying and saying, give me their pain. I don't want them to suffer anymore. I will carry it. Give it to me so that they don't have to feel that anymore. And I was scared. I was so scared that God would really give it to me, but I would be willing to take it. But I was scared. And that little piece of my ego wanted to say, and let them know that I took it, not because I need praise, but just so they know that they don't have it anymore, that somebody else is carrying it for them so they can be without the burden. And then moving on a little bit, as I've been a motivational speaker since I was 7 years old. So this plays into this next piece of the story. When I moved to Arizona in 1997, October of 97, I sat down with my spiritual teacher the first night that I was here. We did a couple of ceremonies. And then she said, when you go home tonight, just sit down and pray and just ask God, hey, where would you like me to be? You know, what do you want me to do with my life? And I said, yeah, of course, no problem. So I sat down and I started to pray, and I closed my eyes and I was praying and I said, God, I just moved to Arizona and I believe that I'm where I'm supposed to be. Please tell me what you would like me to do with the rest of my life. And this pillar of golden light, my whole being got very still. My mind got still, my body got still, everything just settled. And this pillar of golden light came through the ceiling, hit me in the top of the head, filled up my entire body. And I heard one word, love. And I knew in that moment, it didn't matter what I did. What mattered is whether or not I loved other people while I was doing it. That was what was important. Well, what was interesting, if I move on just a little further along the story, um, 4 months, that was October. So in January, I started having 3 months of visions of being hit by a car at a bus stop, because I don't drive, because I'm in a wheelchair and I'm just not physically strong enough to drive. So I had this vision repeatedly over and over and over of being hit by a car at a bus stop. So every day I would sit like 40 feet in front of the bus stop. So maybe if somebody jumped the curb, they would jump the curb and hit the bus stop, and I'd be smart enough to be 40 feet ahead of it. Then I thought, well, maybe they would hit me before they got to the bus stop. And so maybe I should wait 40 feet after the bus stop. So I did that for a little while. Then I sat behind the metal bus stop. Then I'd sit behind the concrete trash can, and I did this for like 3 months. Finally, what happened was a friend of mine dropped me off. I was about a mile from the dojo because I'm also a martial artist. And she's like, are you sure you want me to drop you off? And I was like, yeah, it's fine. No worries. I'll walk from here. And she's like, it's a mile. And I was like, nah, it's no big deal. So I'm pushing my wheelchair. I just walked by a bus stop. I was walking towards oncoming traffic. Okay. So the traffic was coming towards me. I was on that side of the street. I see the oncoming traffic. I see this SUV getting ready to pull out of a restaurant. And I look at the oncoming traffic, and I think there's no place for him to come out. So I'm just going to run past him real quick. And just as I get in front of him, I hear him gun the engine. I look over, and my eyes are just tall enough to see over the hood in my wheelchair, just high enough to see over the hood. He's looking to his left at oncoming traffic. I'm directly in front of him. He guns it, hits me on my left side, tosses me out into 3 lanes of oncoming traffic. The wheelchair crumples underneath his SUV. While in the air, I have time enough just to say, God, whatever you do, please don't let him roll over my pelvis. I tuck and roll, and as I roll, his front driver's side wheel comes to rest leaning against my pelvis. Had he rolled 2 more inches, he would have crushed my pelvis. To add to the story, I wasn't meant to die that day because there was an EMT team in that restaurant that saw everything happen. They came rushing out, picked me up, took me across the street to the hospital, across the street. So the next 4 months while I was in excruciating pain, I couldn't sit down. I couldn't go to work. I couldn't stand because I haven't been able to stand since I was 13. I couldn't roll over in my bed because of the pain. I couldn't sit in the bottom of the shower because it hurt. Sitting on the toilet hurt. Feeding myself hurt. Everything hurt my hips. I couldn't work. I couldn't do anything. And so my level of love for life and love for others was starting to diminish. Not because I didn't still care about people, but because pain is a real life killer. It's a real stealer of life energy. So on the very last day, after 4 months of physical therapy, my physical therapist says, PJ, I've talked to everybody that I know. I've talked to every mentor I have. He said, I've re-examined my books from college. He said, I've looked at articles. He's like, I've talked to the Muscular Dystrophy Association. We've done all these different kinds of therapies. I don't know what's wrong. He said, I just happened to talk to an old mentor of mine a couple of days ago, and he asked me if I palpated your hip to see whether or not your pubic bone had been popped out of place. And I said, okay. And he said, so this is going to hurt. I'm going to lay you on your back, and then I'm going to push through your pubic line and push all the way through the front of your body to feel your pelvis bone in the front to see whether or not it's off. And he said, so it's going to hurt a little. So he pushes through my guts, and it actually didn't hurt as bad. I mean, you can feel it. You're like, oh, that doesn't feel super good, but okay. And he's like, oh, that's what it is. When you hit the ground, you pop your right hip bone out of place. He's like, this is going to hurt, but I'm going to pop it back into place, and I think you'll be okay. And I was like, okay, doc. And this is what I want people to hear. Sometimes we have to say yes to the pain. Okay. Mm-hmm. Sometimes it's about a choice. And so I said, okay, doc. And they rolled me over my left side. My mom had come to stay with me for a little while. And he was like holding on the table so he doesn't, fall off the table, or try and squirm and get away because this could hurt. Grabs a hold of my hip bone with both of his hands. And he goes, 1, 2, pop. Wah! And he pops my hip bone back into place. And as he pops my hip bone back into place, not only did I go through excruciating pain, voluntarily said, yes, let's do it. I voluntarily went through this excruciating pain, have my hip bone pop back into place, But on the other side, peace. Immediately, all the pain was gone. All the suffering was gone. The only thing left was this overwhelming sense of gratitude for my life, for him, this appreciation for life that I had come to just take for granted and didn't appreciate. And this overwhelming sense of gratitude that was in me. And when you have so much gratitude, appreciation, when you're overwhelmed with appreciation, which means the root of the word appreciate comes from the word to appraise. And in praising something means setting a value for something. So when we appreciate, it's an internal, I like this or I don't like this. I want more of this. I want less of that. Right. And so there was all of a sudden an internal appraisal of my life where I was like, yes, this is what I want. I want this freedom. I want this pain-free life. This is amazing. I'm so grateful. So you can see how the appreciation naturally wells up and becomes gratitude. When that gratitude wells up so much, it spills out and it becomes love. And this is where it began. The realization that that vision several months earlier, almost 9 or 10 months earlier by this point, was a vision that was not about me loving other people. It was about me learning to love myself and learning to love my own life so that I could help people learn to love themselves. Shortly thereafter, I met a business coach who said, well, it sounds like you're all about love. Why don't you just teach people to fall in love and get married in a year and fall in love with themselves? And, and I was like, I can do that. So that's one of the things that I do in my coaching practice. One of the things I do is I help people learn to love themselves, specifically women, but I do have some male clients. So long story, but I wanted to share the real juicy, delicious pieces that are important to define who I am, a spiritual being who really cares about myself and genuinely cares about you. Whether I know you or not, I have love for you.
Yeah, totally. And, it's really interesting because the story also shows that what you said, we're so often saying, oh, there's going to be short-term pain, or I don't want to face my fear of rejection, or I don't want to face my fear of betrayal, or I don't want to face my fear of you fill in the blank, and actually be like, but you don't know what's on the other side. I always say, you don't know what's on the other side of the rainbow. And it's so fitting because today we're going to talk about where are you manipulating yourself?
Yes.
And how can you break through it, right?
Yes, absolutely. So listen, I'm glad you picked up on that because I really wanted people to pick up on that. This idea that we have to sometimes choose the pain, the scary thing, the thing that we're afraid of, to actually get what it is that we really want. And how do we do that? First of all, we have to realize that most of our lives are being controlled by our unconscious mind. I make a very clear distinction between the conscious you and the unconscious, right? The conscious you, I call you. The unconscious, I often refer to as it, because sometimes that's what it is. It is an entity. It is a thing. It is a different part of you that is trying to control you. And sometimes we just have to say, shh, it, because that's all it's giving us, right? We just have to get it to be quiet so we as the conscious mind can make the decision that we want. And so it's really important when you asked about or referenced the manipulation. When you reference the manipulation, what's manipulating you is your unconscious mind, right? So sometimes you have to, as the conscious you, say, hold on. Why am I really afraid? Why can't I get started? Why am I not getting out of bed and going to the gym? Why am I walking around sulking and sad? Do I like how I'm feeling? If the answer is no, then what do we want to do about it, right? And so this falls on the conscious us to be aware and to realize, oh, drat, the unconscious has been manipulating me. It's been convincing me that I'm not strong enough, smart enough, brave enough, that I'm not pretty enough, that I'm not good enough, that people aren't going to like me. And it's really important that what's going on is it is your best friend. Believe it or not, it is your best friend. It is literally trying to keep you alive. It says, hey, if you go out there, you could get embarrassed again. And remember the last time you got embarrassed, how much that hurt, and that just didn't feel good, and you don't want that to happen again. So maybe we should, not let that happen. And maybe we should just make you feel uncomfortable so that you don't do that again. And this is just my way of helping you and saving you so that, we can avoid anything like that. No, we don't want that. We want to actually have that opportunity to feel that fear, to feel that nervousness, to feel that worry, and to realize that we are not paralyzed by it. We can feel it. We can still say, that's what I want in life.
Mhm.
That's still where I'm going. That's still what I want. Remember the movie Last of the Mohicans?
I've heard of it. I actually
Okay,
never watched it.
okay. So Last of the Mohicans, very, testosterone male, oriented movie, but it's about a tribe of Native Americans that I grew up studying when I was a boy because they were from my area, called the Lene Lenape, right? And it's largely about a white man who had been adopted by the Lene Lenape people. And he winds up losing the woman of his dreams. She gets kidnapped, and he has to go and get her back. And he has to walk through the gauntlet. Now, walking through the gauntlet means that all of these people are going to throw things at you, spit on you, kick you, hit you, hurt you, knock you down, try to stop you. Like, what they're doing is the whole way they're saying, you're too weak. You're not going to do this. Let me see. Prove it to me that you're worthy. And he walks the entire gauntlet, getting beat up, beat up, beat up, beat up. And he gets to the end. And what's at the end? But the love of his life. He gets to stand there and say, this is the hell that I will endure for what I believe in, love. And so if you are afraid to take those steps because you feel the fear, listen, I didn't say you are afraid, because you feel the fear inside of you, that's just your unconscious mind. And there's nothing wrong with fear. Fear has real benefits for us. But if that's the case, if that you're feeling that fear, then that fear is conveying a message. And that message usually is, you could be embarrassed, you could get your heart broken, this could feel really bad. In the unconscious mind, specifically the part designed to focus on the fight or flight process, it's designed to keep you alive, right? And this fight or flight process says, hey, if we can be hurt, then that means we can be killed. And it's all my entire job to keep you alive. So I'm going to manipulate you to make you tired or lazy or afraid or distracted or confused or procrastinating, all of these things just to protect you from something that feels like pain. There's another piece that's really interesting to tie into this real quick. And I know I get excited and I want this to be a conversation. I'm just filling it all out. So let me say this last piece too, just because I'm excited about it. In our humanity, in our own consciousness, in our own being, we tend to move in one of two ways. We either move towards what we want or we move away from what we don't want, right? We move towards the pleasure, we move away from the pain. And sure, there's a combination in there sometimes for individuals, just like some of us are like hyper masculine and others are very beautifully feminine, and some of us, most of us, are somewhere in between. So this idea of moving towards or moving away from, if you have this idea of that's what I want, I'm excited about it, I want to move towards it, really, truly nothing's going to stop you. We're not really even talking to you right now, right? Because you're the person that goes, why are we talking about this? Just do what you want. Just chase down what you want. It's going to be okay. Sure, you might get your heart broken, but in the end, this is what you're going to get. You're going to get all this amazing stuff, right? Because that's moving towards the pleasure. That's moving towards the excitement. That's moving towards the thrill. That's moving towards the reward. But if you are wired to move away from, then that means there's going to be a little bit more fear, maybe some hesitation. Maybe you're going to overanalyze things. Maybe you're going to doubt yourself. Maybe you're going to question, is this right? Should I do it this way? Should I not do it this way? Does he really care about me? Is this like somebody I can open up to? So there's going to be all these ways that your unconscious mind is going to manipulate you. So if you want to play the game, start to get very in touch with who you are, the conscious you, and what you want, the conscious you, and see the vision that you want, the conscious you, for your life, and the feelings and experiences you, the conscious you, want for your life. And when you're in touch, intimately in touch with those, let these be your voice of wisdom. Let these be your guide. Let these be the flotation that keeps your head above water when things get crazy. Let these be the night light, or the lighthouse in the darkness. Let these guide you through the darkness to the place of love, the place of connection.
Yeah, totally. Like the access to, like if I move towards pleasure and vision, because some people are of like, it's kind of like the pain pushes you until the vision pulls you. And for
Yes,
some,
yes.
it's like the vision pulls them, you know, and it's like they can't even imagine not having that vision. And for other people, like, what vision? You know, I'm just working on survival. I'm just looking to the floor, to the bottom, you know, and I just make sure I'm not going to crash, and I'm just going to keep myself just above. But, you know, I tell my women this all the time, right? But you can't break through your ceiling, because that's why the sabotage and manipulation happens, right? If you're constantly focusing on the floor,
yes,
it's not going to work out, you know, and vice versa. If you're just like focusing on the vision, but like yet there's like so much fear inside of you, so you're actually working against your internal, you know, model, so to say, right? Like your own motivational model, like that's also not going to work, right? But it's so interesting how some women are like, oh, vision, I don't really care about that. And other people are like, oh, fear, no, I don't want to be single for the rest of my life. Like, I don't want to be, oh my God, I can't imagine being 60 and 70 and like being a cat woman. And, you know, it's like, okay, that's what gets me like all all excited, right? But I think the biggest thing is, and the reason why we started talking about where you're manipulating yourself, is that so many women say, oh, I just need to go to the right place, you know, I just need to meet the right man. And it's like, actually not, because, you know, once you meet the man, that's when the manipulation starts. That's when you're saying like, oh, he's too skinny, or he's not smart enough, or he's not. I have so many women. I have just another woman who just got engaged, you know, it's like, and it's always like those, I'm just like smiling, you know, I'm like, okay, here's your unconscious mind, blah, blah, blah. You know what I mean? It's just a tape. But actually to be like, oh yeah, of course I'm going to go through this, because my nervous system is not used to that harmony. It doesn't have a resonance with that, you know, because it has resonance with avoidant men and struggle and pain and, you know, men who are not reliable and so on and so forth, right? So all of a sudden you're telling me it's this great man, I got to find something that's wrong with it.
100%. And therein lies the fear of getting your heart broken, right? Because what if he really is this good and I fall head over heels in love, and then he's not that good? I got suckered and duped, and then I get hurt. So that's that unconscious part of your mind. Well, it seems like and looks like you might be moving towards what you want. The subtle manipulation is you're actually looking for what to move away from. Right? You're like, oh, but what if he's like this? What if he's like that? Maybe I should watch out for that. Oh, red flag, red flag, red flag. And there may be red flags. And if there are red flags on the play, pay attention to those and get out quick. But make sure they're actual red flags and not something that you're creating, that you're being manipulated. You, the conscious you, is being manipulated by the fear of getting hurt, and that part of you that is innately driven towards moving away from pain, because you could be moving away from something really good. Here's the other thing that's really crucial. A minute ago, you said, you know, some people feel like they just have to be in the right place. And both of us were just like shaking our head, right? Maybe for two different reasons, because what was going through my head was this idea that no, it's not just about being in the right place and finding the right guy. It's about being inside your space, not being in the right place, being inside your space to make sure that you are the right gal, that you are the right lady, that you are who you truly want to be, that you are truly excited about who you are in your life and the things that you believe in. And when you are living your life to the fullest, then all of a sudden what happens is you create space inside of you to bring in and connect with other people that are like you. But if you're afraid, if there's that fear inside of you, if there's that fear of getting your heart broken, what happens more is that you're shut down and there's not space for someone to enter. But the more lively and vibrant and energetic and youthful and happy and inquisitive and honest and filled with integrity that you are, the more you're actually seeing what you want and chasing it down and going after it and experiencing it, the more you are actually being who you truly are. The more you are actually creating space for that counterpart, that relationship, to be able to link in and plug into you. Because what are they plugging into? They're plugging into the real, true you now. But before, there's no space for them to plug in because you were shut down. You weren't open. You weren't being authentic. You'd been shut down because you were afraid those open spaces that feel vulnerable and raw would get hurt even more. So I'm going to shut down so you can't get to them. But when you go, that I'm not happy living this way. I want to be doing this. I want to be doing that. I want to be traveling here. I want to be traveling there. I want to be eating this kind of food. I want to be eating that kind of food. I want to be working out. I want to be snow skiing. I want to be water skiing. I want to be living in a different place. Like, what is it that you're doing or not doing that's moving you towards real, true expression of who you are? When you're truly living that true expression, there's so much space for amazing people in your life. It's freaking amazing. It's beautiful. I know I said amazing twice in the same sentence. There's so much space for really, truly beautiful, connected, aligned people in your life. And some of those are going to be romantic partners.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, totally. And I know there's so much to say about it. I know we're getting towards the end of the interview, but what
No, we're just getting warmed up. You and I can go for hours.
you know?
We should have recorded the first two conversations, the one the other day and the one just before we started
Right.
this.
Oh, ladies, like sometimes like PJ and I would just think, let's just turn the camera on right now, you know? Like you should watch all that, all conversations that matter so much. So one thing I do at the end of every call is actually ask the man, like, what are 5 qualities that they are attracted to in a woman?
So we all know the physical looks matter. So let's leave that one off the table. Let's not even address it. Okay. Things that matter to men are when you know
To you personally.
Oh, to me
To
personally.
you personally, yeah.
Okay. Wow, that's interesting. Okay. So for me personally, and I'm still going to leave the physical quality off the table, or the physical attractiveness off the table, because um, you can't do anything about your height. You could do something if you're overweight or, emaciated and not exercising, sure, we can do things about that. I'm a little skinny guy in a wheelchair. So I totally, totally get that. So I'm going to leave the physical part out of it for a moment. Okay. Um, but if you learn my love language, if you know that I like physical touch, if you know that I like words of affirmation, and you touch me on my chest, or you touch me behind my ears, right? Or you look in my eyes, you tell me how much I mean to you. You tell me that I matter. You tell me that I'm intelligent. You tell me that I stimulate you emotionally and physically and spiritually and intellectually. I mean, you can even hear the sound of my voice change. All of a sudden, I soften because you're touching me physically and emotionally and spiritually and intellectually in the way that I need to be touched. So find out how your man wants to be touched. Okay. Second, caveat, I wish that I was talking to men because women are usually good at that. Men, unfortunately, not so good. So, ladies, send your men to me. Let me help them help
Yeah.
you. Okay. Second thing that I love about women, um, fashion. Like this was one of the first things I talked to you about this morning, right? I immediately noticed how your dress is a similar pattern to the flower on the wall. I love the way women dress. I love women's shoes. I don't wear them. Okay. I just like them. I love the fashion. I love women's dresses. I love to dress women. I love this idea of being able to take a woman out and say, no, 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 let's wear this. Put this on instead. Try this one. This one's beautiful. I'm not the boyfriend who's like, oh, babe, come on, can we go? The game's on. Like, I'm not that guy. Like, I want to stay with you. I want to be like, hey, let's go to the next dress shop. Let's go to the next dress shop. Try this one on. That's really beautiful. I don't know about that one. Let's take it in here. Because I love when a woman looks beautiful, because when she looks and feels beautiful, the amount of love and beauty and generosity that she gives off is just unparalleled.
Mm.
Third, what do I love about a woman? This sort of goes back to my number one, but I love when she just snuggles up with me, when she's like, I want to be held. So the first one was how she touches me. And the second one is when she says, will you touch me? Will you hold me? Will you, let me lay with you for a little while? Can you hug me? When she comes to me and says what she needs and wants in the physical way, emotional way, spiritual way, any way that she needs, when she feels safe enough and comfortable enough to come to me, man, that just makes me feel like a man. And number four, when she trusts me so much that this little 75, 80-pound dude in a wheelchair is the one who she asks to walk her to her car, because she trusts me over all those big guys in there to make sure that she's safe. because I don't have the ability to lift my arms. I can barely push my wheelchair anymore. And everything in me wants to be a good man. So when she sees that in me and she really feels that trust, I'm drawn in, right? It makes me want to be an even better man every moment I see her or hear from her or sense her. And then number 5, what would be my 5th thing that I love about women?
Well, we have
I love
4.
the way they smell. That's only 4?
It's on number
Okay, so
4.
let me say this one. I love the way women smell. Oh, are you kidding me? There's nothing more sensual than a woman who walks by and I can smell her perfume and she's 15, 20, 25 feet away and I can still smell her. It's like smelling flowers on a spring afternoon when you're walking around or driving or out in the park and you have no clue where the flower is, but you can just smell the fragrance wafting on the wind. And that's the way a woman's scent is. It just draws me in and wants me to be in her presence, calls me to be in her presence. And then the 5th one, what is the 5th one? I love this question. This is a phenomenal question.
I
This is
know.
juicy and delicious. This is really juicy and delicious because it gives me a chance to really explore what I love. What is the 5th thing that I love that is not physical? I love a woman who flirts. I love a woman who flirts with me. And I love a woman who is so committed to me and knows that we are so good together that she can flirt with other people right in front of me or even when I'm not around. And she trusts me and I trust her so much that I'm not remotely concerned, right? I love to watch a woman that I'm with flirt with other people, not because I have this kind of weird thing, but because I trust that she's with me. And flirting is not about sexuality. That's a misconception. Flirting is about an opportunity to share love, right? I flirt with my grandmother, right? I'll flirt with guys, that are waiters on occasion. And then it doesn't have to be sexual. And this seems weird. You'd have to see me do it, okay? But I'll flirt with women that I'm not remotely attracted to, right? Why? Because flirting is just a way for me to share my love. It's just a way for me to say, hey, you matter. I see you, right? And it's a way of getting past the outer and getting into the softer, more sensual part of our hearts, of our beings, right? It's a place for me to go in and plant a little bit of love and a little bit of tenderness, a little bit of gentleness, a little connection, a little I love you, a little you matter to me. Even though I may not know you, just like I said to your audience in the beginning, I'll say to them now that even though I may not love you, I have love for you. So if I can be with a woman who's so comfortable with me and trusts me and knows that I trust her, that she can flirt with me and she can flirt with other people, and I know she's still coming home with me, what is there for me to be remotely concerned about? I don't care if guys flirt with her, because if she knows, if I know she is loyal and committed to me and she is being flirted with, or being flirted with from other guys, if she's uncomfortable, I know she'll come back. She'll find me. She'll go to somebody else to take care of herself. If she is comfortable and she likes that and she's drawn to that, excuse me, and she's drawn to that emotionally or sexually, I just want her to be happy. And so maybe I'm just not the right guy for her, and that's okay. She gets to say, yeah, maybe this isn't working for me. Maybe that I do want to explore that. I get to say, okay. And I'm not suggesting that I'm promoting open relationships. I'm saying maybe she doesn't need or want to be with me. Maybe something is lacking in our relationship that she might get from this other person. And that's okay. I get to love in a way that she feels free. That's important.
Totally. I know we could talk forever, but we are at the end of our interview.
Ah, so sorry.
So for the women who are like really, engulfed in your wisdom and want to learn so much more about your work, like I know you actually have a free ebook, I think, right?
Yes. It is called 5 Ways to Date Yourself and One Big Reason Why You Should. 5 Ways to Date Yourself and One Big Reason Why You Should. It's like 80 plus pages. And it's juicy, delicious, fun, amazing ideas. And you can get it. I'm sure there'll be a link in the email, but you can get it at 5ways.pjswisdom.com. 5ways.pjswisdom.com.
And the link will also be below this video as well, ladies. Well, thank you so much for being here today, PJ. It was so, so fun, so
Thank
much
you.
wisdom, so many amazing, inspiring stories. So thank you so much. And for the ladies, I will talk to you next time. Take
Bye,
care.
ladies.
Bye-bye.